Hello and welcome to Brotherly Love Gaming. I'm Alex.
And I'm Spence.
And today I think we're just going to talk about like our earliest gaming memories, like the first three things we can remember. I think it's going to be kind of interesting because since I have like a head start on you basically, some of my middle childhood memories will probably be like your beginning memories, so.
Yeah, compared to so you started off with like Nintendo.
Right.
And I didn't start until like PS2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I watched and played some of the N64 games, but like as far as like being cognitive about it, I would probably say like PS2 and N64.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so we're sort of in a sense talking about like two different generations of gaming in a way,
So I was raised on both.
So for me, it's kind of like I was thinking about it, and I remember playing like some early Super Nintendo games at some friends' houses, like Super Mario World, and I think our neighbors had Donkey Kong Country. I also remember going to some other people's houses and playing Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES.
Right.
We eventually got a Super Nintendo of our own, and the only game that we had on that I actually really remember playing the whole way through and actually really enjoying was Yoshi's Island. I still love that game.
Fair enough.
Dear to my heart. But I'd also remember that our older cousin, I think it was Megan, would come over sometimes and help me with like the bosses and things, because there's like the one boss where it's a piranha plant and you have to like bank the eggs off the wall to get it.
That's
and
right.
I couldn't figure that out, so I spent like a couple weeks figuring it out, and then she came over and I was like, hey, you're older than me, you should be able to do this. And she helped me figure that out.
Now that you mentioned Yoshi's Island, I completely forgot that we even had a Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably thrown into the mix too, because I remember playing like F-Zero and Yoshi's Island when I was little as well. Completely forgot about Yoshi's Island, that we even had it.
Yeah, I don't really know how we got the Super Nintendo, to be honest. Like, I don't remember. I remember a time when we didn't have it, and I remember a time when we did have it.
Blank space and bam.
But like we had like a box full of games, which is still the exact same number of games we have.
Right.
Because I still have it at my house, but they were mostly like really random games. Like we had the F-Zero, we had Yoshi's Island, but the rest of them were like Monopoly, Paperboy, a bunch of sports games, like a racing game.
We had we had like the Madden, I think.
Probably. It was a tennis game,
Yeah. We had a tennis.
Just like a regular old tennis game.
Oh, we did, yeah. Oh, we had the Pac-Man game.
Yeah, there was like the Pac-Man Adventure game.
Pac-Man Adventure that was super like weird. And
the Speedy Gonzales game.
I don't remember ever finishing that game.
No.
But I do remember loving that. And that I even played before like Sonic or anything.
Right.
So that was my first...
Gotta go fast kind of game.
Yeah, gotta go fast.
Yeah, I was actually getting that mom recently asked me if we still had, because like she wanted to play it for some reason. I'm just like, I don't think I've ever seen her play a video game, but she was asking me about it. She's like, we had that Speedy Gonzales game. Do you remember that?
She has never played video games. The only video game she ever played was Wii Sports. Like with us anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's how it happened.
That's weird. So those might have been like the first ones I actually played.
Yeah, that was definitely the first game system we had. And then we got an N64 at one point. I'm sure that we got it for like Christmas or something.
Right.
With Super Mario 64. It was like the main game I remember having with that. So we got that pretty close to when the N64 came out, I think.
So I always remember the little tub that was full.
Full of games.
And it never grew.
One yellow cartridge.
It went to one yellow cartridge and then the gold one with Majora's Mask.
Right.
And I never remember losing any, and I never remember gaining any. Because what surprised me most is that from my memory, I never remember buying any new Nintendo games. I remember renting a couple.
Right.
But never bought any new ones.
Right. Somebody gave them to us at some point, but with the exception of Zelda, especially with Ocarina, because I was old enough to buy that one used. But like I sort of remember asking for Majora's Mask, but like the rest of them, they all came out at different times, so I know that we did not get, like Banjo-Kazooie was a later game,
right.
So we didn't have that at the same time as Mario 64.
I mean, we had the Elmo one. That was interesting, to say the least.
I don't remember anything about that. Just that it existed.
I played it a lot because I was tiny. Like, this was That was probably the first game I actually ever played.
Right. Okay.
Like, I can't remember it, but it probably was, because Mom bought it for me.
Right.
Because I was 3. It was like you just ran through like collecting letters, and then Elmo would talk about it.
Right.
And there were different levels. Like I think there was a space level, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And there was an underwater level where you like swam around as Elmo.
Right. Okay.
it was really weird, but it was pretty good.
Zach and I also got Game Boys from Grandpa, and he gave us both a copy of Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. Still like the best portable Mario game, I'll say.
I played through that.
You fight someone on the moon, which is great.
I hated the moon level.
There's a level that's like a machine version of Mario. It's really weird. Yeah. And then you fight Wario as final boss. But that is the first memory I have of being given, like, this is Merry Christmas, Alex. This is your Game Boy. I had a couple random games, and then suddenly Pokemon came out, and that was the huge thing. And I had Pokemon Blue, and I learned to read playing Pokemon Blue. I remember calling up my dad one time and being like, the game is asking me to save. I don't know what that means. He had to help me figure out what saving meant. And
that's actually hilarious.
And
Pokemon is much more than just a game. It's a learning tool.
It's a learning tool, yeah. Yeah, tell your friends. It's a learning tool.
That's something we could talk about. The fact that your first Game Boy was the Game Boy.
Game Boy Pocket, yellow Game Boy Pocket, which I still have.
Mine, I want to say it was the Advanced.
Right, I was wondering about that. That makes sense. So I had a Game Boy Color, too, at one point.
And I did not.
Which I kind of only had for Pokemon Crystal. I don't know if I even ever had any other Game Boy Color games, to be honest. Yeah, but then we got the Game Boy Advances, and that would make sense. That was the first one that you got.
Because then I got Power Tour, and that was the start of, I want to say, everything. I played the hell out of that game. Mm-hmm. I had done a playthrough of each difficulty with both Ace and Clay. Mm-hmm. Both of them I got up to like level probably like 50, 60 or something like that, whatever the highest level is. And then I just kept playing. And I did the singles and doubles in each of them. Right. And then I went back through like maybe a couple months later, and I started the hard playthroughs on both of them. Did the same thing with Clay and Ace, singles, doubles, was like max level again. And I want to say like total hours I've put into that's probably well over like 300, and it's a Game Boy game, for God's sake. Like, that was all I played for a while. Yeah. I still would play that game. It's so good. I played it again just a couple months ago and thought that it was amazing still. Oh, it definitely is.
It holds up surprisingly well.
I can remember all the fun things about that game. Like, the training, I can remember the story very specifically. Like, you waking up and whichever one you didn't choose, like, bangs on your door and it's like, and comes in, like, I think it, like, they, like, throw your clothes, it's, like, to the side or whatever, because it's just on the floor. They, like, stack it. We had those, and then the SP came out very shortly after that, as far as I remember, because, time was very warped for me. Right. Because I remember playing Mario Power Tour on that, mainly. Okay. But I do remember still having the Advance.
I remember having Super Mario Advance, which was Super Mario Brothers 2. Mm-hmm. And I had the Crash Bandicoot game, The Huge Adventure, I think is what it's called. I had The Legacy of Goku, which is not a good game. But
I remember you got really mad at me because I stole that, and I tried playing it, and all I did was, like, I loaded your save game, and all I did was die to Frieza like 100 times. Yes. He just kicked my ass over and over again. Yeah, that was a really bad game. But it's not, at the time, I was just, like, super into it. Right. And I was like, hell yeah, game, Dragon Ball Z. Not a good game. Does not. I mean, if it was ever good, it doesn't hold up. I'm trying to think of other Game Boy Advance games we had. Frogger. It was a little red one with the green. Yep, that game was. Whew.
Is that like a good whoo or a bad whoo?
Like a frustrating whoo.
Oh, okay.
There were just some real stupid parts in that game. And it's Frogger, for Christ's sake. Like, It should not be hard, but it's... I remember, like, sitting in the dentist office, like, freaking the hell out, and Mom was like, what's wrong? Like, you need to come. I was like, this game is so stupid!
It's Frogger!
Yeah. Some other Game Boy Advance games.
A Link to the Past.
A Link to the Past, which I beat probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
Minish Cap,
Yes.
which was the first Zelda game I beat. Love that game. It's another one that has like
Underappreciated Zelda game for sure.
that definitely is. But that also has like an interesting mechanic, sort of like Majora's Mask. It has its own little
Right, where you shrink and
you shrink and whatnot, and like you don't really do that in
ran
any
and
of
solve
the others.
puzzles. I remember I also had Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, which I dumped like 100 hours into that game.
And I was extremely confused on how to advance anywhere in that story. I just kept going into fights and was just like, what do? I'm just going to keep winning these. And I wasted all the time because I had no idea what I was supposed to do. I guess that kind of shows where we were at in terms of, like, just gaming timeline-wise, which is kind of crazy because, you know, even though I was, like, once I became cognitive, like, the PlayStation 2 was already around.
Right.
And I still, you know, kind of lean towards, like, Nintendo games that are, like, nostalgia-based and stuff like that, compared to, like, I don't even... The only PlayStation 2 games that I really have, like, any kind of nostalgia for are Kingdom Hearts, God of War, and then that Naruto game.
Right. The PlayStation 2 era was when I started actually, like, getting games more regularly.
Right.
Because that was when I, you know, started asking for games and, you know, made Christmas lists of, hey, this is what I want, and I would go to the store and I'd pick stuff off the shelf. With Kingdom Hearts was the first one I remember seeing commercials for, thinking I really want this game, making the conscious decision, this is a game that I really want I have this game, you know. So I think it's just interesting thinking about how, like you said, games are just kind of there for a while, then you remember getting some of them, and then you're like
oh, this
then
is
you're in
the
control
one
of the
that
games
you're
you
like,
want.
yeah, I want this one. The first one I really remember going out of my way to get was Left 4 Dead on the 360. Mom was just like, why would I get you this? It's rated M. And I'm like, because it's just a game about zombies. That's the only reason it's rated M. She's like, whatever. Like, and that was the only M game she let me play for like a while.
I think it's funny with the Super Nintendo, because, like you said, you forgot that we even had it.
I did.
I thought that Mom like got rid of it, and then I asked Zach if he knew where it was, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I have that." So I was like, "What do you mean you have it? Like, I've been to your house, I haven't seen it." And he goes, "It's in a box in my basement." So I went up to his house and found it in the basement and took it out of the basement and brought it home. The next week was when they had that flood and his whole basement flooded. So if I hadn't asked about the Super Nintendo, we would have lost it, all the games, everything. It was the whole thing, the whole box was still there, all the games that we had. You know, we only had the one controller, some manuals, I think, even, and then the Super Nintendo itself just set in a box, and I saved it from certain doom, basically.
That's funny.
So I think that's going to wrap this one up for today. If you want to share your gaming memories, do so in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to keep the discussion going. Until then, if you like what you see, like the channel, subscribe so you can see some more, and we'll see you all next time.